Live from New York, it's a show that has an announcement to make.
What's that?
I'm now a Vikings guy.
Wait, what?
Yes, I'm a Vikings guy.
How do you
let him have it. Just let him have it.
Your team is Arizona.
Yes, but I'm also a Vikings guy. And last week I was a Saints guy. And then you were like, oh, the Broussard's like Smith in New Orleans. I'm like, oh, feels like you have dibs on that.
And nobody wants that anymore.
Well, Greg's
anyways.
from Minnesota.
That's fine. Yeah,
so how about
you're going to be tough to.
Greg's from
But
Michigan.
you're a Niners guy.
He lives in Minnesota.
Let's keep going. Let's get
first
the show.
hour.
We'll give you
first.
Seattle.
We start with a dud in Dallas. Ended with a bit of a comeback. Cowboys fall to 1-2 as the Ravens run over and through the Dallas defense. Tempers and frustrations flared. Yeah, a lot there to unpack. Brou, your reaction and eventually a grade, if you could.
You want the grade. All right, let me react to Micah. First of all, he said I shouldn't be telling grown men to be accountable, but he spent the whole 5 minutes of his presser holding grown men accountable. Nick, I didn't see, and I watched the whole thing, I didn't see him once. He mentioned I a couple times, but it was in a different context, I felt. I didn't see him once say, I got to do this. I have to be better. I have to look in the mirror. So I don't think that's going to sit well in the locker room because he should have taken some more accountability. I think it's poor leadership and it's a lack of accountability by the best player. Secondly, you're Superman, Micah. You're supposed to be Superman.
Correct.
When you start negotiating your contract, or you probably already did this offseason trying, you're not going to be like, hey, I'm just one of 11 doing my role. Let me do my part. You're going to be like, I'm Superman. And he is supposed to be a game wrecker a la TJ Watt, a la Myles Garrett. All right, we see a la Max Crosby, other guys wrecking games. All
Trey
right?
Hendrickson. A lot of guys, a lot of the best edge rushers this year have wrecked at least one, if not two games or a game and a half.
Yep.
Mike is yet to do it.
He hasn't wrecked anything. In fact, and this is related to my grade, let's look at this graphic of Micah's lack of production. You see the previous 3 years of his career, he's essentially in the top 10 every year in sacks and tackles for losses.
Yeah.
In 2022, he dropped a little.
Yeah.
This year, one of each. And look at that. 119 guys have more tackles for losses than Micah. 59 guys have more sacks. And I'm going to get those one sack, one tackle for loss. That was in the first game.
Week one
so
against
last
Cleveland.
2 weeks, he has yet to have a sack or a tackle for loss. So I need Micah to be Superman. So he's had a drop-off. That's a hint. Drop off.
What's that?
All right, second thing.
Get it?
Jerry Jones.
I don't.
Jerry Jones, and I'm not going to jump on you, Nick, but you don't think the running backs are important. I do.
We're going to get.
And neither does Jerry
Later
Jones.
on.
That's
You know,
later
you're doing the
on,
whole
bro.
show.
Well, let
We
me
need
just
a
say,
grade.
Derrick Henry ran for 151,
Yeah,
and he wanted to be a Cowboy, and y'all didn't want him.
Yeah.
So Derrick.
Oh, now I'm getting
Derrick.
it. Oh,
It gets a
drop
little
off.
slow.
Derrick.
Drop off.
Oh, so now
And look, let me say this. It was hard because for 3 quarters they looked like a clear F. And then they obviously rallied, had a chance to win.
Could have won.
But I
Not
put
coulda
more
won.
of that on the Ravens'
Yeah.
complacency and
that's
just
fair.
utter foolishness than the Cowboys' ability. So D for drop off of Micah and D for Derrick Henry,
Okay.
who should be a Dallas Cowboy.
Wow. All right. Well done across the
Dak
board.
escapes on that.
Yeah, I was going to say Dak.
Right
there
Dak,
was there.
yeah, you're right. He definitely
that
escaped.
maybe would have
I didn't
want to
pile on.
drop
That's
off,
fair.
but that's fine. So the grade's totally fair. I think on this show, I'm the one person who most often defends Micah. I think it's not like anybody really attacks his play prior to this, but I think the podcast people have a bigger issue with than I do. Sure. Some of the comments. I thought this post-game press conference was indefensible, given lining up with what he did, what he said with how he played. So before we roll the tape, I just want to make some clear. He is what he is, I think, describing there repeatedly is guys not playing kind of almost nerdy football-ese, not playing your gaps, not playing your assignment, and then you try to do too much, and then the guy goes where you were supposed to be. You're out of position. And granted, I'm not in Mike Zimmer's meetings, but I watched the beginning of this game. And on the first play of the game for Baltimore's offense and the last play of that first drive for Baltimore's offense, to me there was one Dallas Cowboy who was clearly trying to be Superman and screwing it up. And we can show it to you. Watch the bottom of your screen, watch 11, Micah, and watch where he goes and where Lamar goes. Oh, wait, that was the guy who's supposed to hold contain, I think. What about on the touchdown? Watch Micah, where he goes. That's... Now, again, I'm not in the meetings, but typically it's that edge guy's job to keep contain on the zone read, particularly against Lamar Jackson. And from the very beginning of the game so to me, that's what made the comment so galling, was at the very least, you were part of the problem you're talking about, if not the primary piece of it. And the other one is what Brou said. We're going to talk more big picture about the Cowboys throughout the show. But it would appear right now, I personally way overvalued one part of their team. I might have undervalued the importance of the running back, which we'll get to. But I thought they would have an excellent defense because they consistently have an excellent defense. And while they lost a lot of pieces on offense over the offseason, they didn't lose as many on defense. And so I'm like, okay, well, Micah's entering his prime. They're getting Diggs back. They still have DeMarcus Lawrence. Like, they spent some mid-round draft picks on these guys. I think Zimmer's good. You know, I don't think he's a big drop-off from Dan Quinn. I think from defensive coordinating, he might be better. We'll see. And this defense is a laughingstock right now.
Yeah.
Giving up 500 yards rushing the last 2 weeks.
Not great.
And so I think a D is more than fair, Brou, and you're right. It was trending towards a massive F.
Absolutely.
And then they have this furious comeback that, almost that had to make Baltimore nervous, but they still end up with a third straight loss at home and their third loss in their last 4 games, if you're dating back to the last postseason.
Dak threw the ball 51 times for almost 380 yards, 2 touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. In the tunnel, he gave the okay for people to jump off the bandwagon. I didn't hear the please the first time around. Okay, are you ready to jump off the bandwagon? You were supporting the Cowboys.
So, listen, I don't think the Cowboys are a bandwagon team.
Yeah, it's kind of odd.
It's kind of a weird thing. Like, they are... I think they have bandwagon haters, not bandwagon fans, if that makes sense.
I put myself in that category.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's a lot of, Johnny-come-lately Cowboy fans. But I think there's a lot of people that take a lot of schadenfreude in their, when they're not doing well.
Sure.
So I also think that there is a lot with the Cowboys of just adding to the external pressure and noise with these types of things that they don't need to do. Jerry's going to do it. The players don't have to. But as far as am I ready to abandon them as a playoff team, I'm not. I still think that, I think in 4 days they're going to win because they always beat the Giants and they'll be settled and steady. And I also think, and we'll talk about this more later in the show, there's only one team in the whole league that I actually think's really good. And so everyone else that has a lot of talent, I think is going to be fine-ish. But Brou's concern about the running game totally is being bared out. They are a team that is, to me, and the biggest problem with the Cowboys with the running game wilds is not their lack of running, it's their inability to stop the run. They're both problems.
Yeah, a little combo.
They're built a lot like the 2000s Colts. We're going to play on a fast track. We're going to get a lead. We got a superstar receiver, and then we're going to unleash our pass rush. But those teams, if you don't get a lead and if you let the other team feels like they can run on you, you can get gashed and get bullied, and get pushed around. And so right now, they have not lived up to the expectations that I have them before the year, which, by the way, was just win the division and make it to round 2 of the playoffs. Not like I had them going super deep. But they have been, to me, one of the more disappointing teams in the league thus far. And they seem like they are fraying a bit in a way where things could go sideways on them quickly.
I agree.
Well, to that point, yeah. I mean, Micah, we saw last year, I can't remember the safety who bit back at Micah.
Was it Malik Hooker?
Yes,
Malik
yes,
Hooker.
what he said on a podcast. And now with Micah talking all this stuff, to Nick's point, they're going to see that in film.
Yeah.
Unless he was doing exactly what he was supposed to, which didn't look like it, they're going to see that on film, and they know you were the guy calling all of us out. All right, so, and you're the guy that's about to get, we think, $35 million a year. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, Nick's right about the frame. I didn't pick them to win the division. I feel good about Philly doing that, but I did pick them to make the playoffs. I'm not going to jump off of that just yet. I want to see this Giants game. Now, I know the Giants, I'm not saying they're very good. Daniel Jones has obviously played better. He's got a weapon now as far as a receiver.
And they just won, and if they had been smart enough to have a healthy kicker, they probably would have won week 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So like could be 2-1. And they ran the ball well yesterday. Mm-hmm. All right, so if they're smart, they're going to try to run the ball down Dallas's throat. And, Nick, to your point, like, how fixable is the defense? Now, obviously, Micah can play better. We think he will. But they're small and fast. But that's kind of built. Now the teams are running that football down their throat.
Well, and with the whole league almost
running more.
being
Teams
more physical and those things. Go ahead, Wilds.
When we were previewing this game, we kicked around the idea that the Ravens might have a season from heck. That like, oh, this could go really south.
I think I said season from hell, but yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
But then you kind of laid out a few reasons. I was like, that makes a lot of sense. But then when it flipped early on, I was like, hold on, are we sure
Dallas
this
that
is not
could be
Dallas?
happening?
So this is the things that you I did my own version of what you did last week.
Sure.
Disappointing end of the season.
Check.
Lackluster offseason.
Check.
New defensive coordinator.
Check.
Dallas has this one on their own. Teams straight up questioning the effort of their teammates. That's not in Baltimore. That's there. And then you go through their last good win was when? They lost to the Ravens and the Saints. The Browns might actually be terrible. Packers was terrible. Commanders were tanking. The Lions, I don't really count
We felt like they got outplayed, but they did.
They won that one.
Yeah.
They lost to the Dolphins and the Bills before
beating
that.
the Eagles before that.
And the Eagles. So it's the Eagles or that Lions win that was kind of funky.
apart.
I mean, I know you can do that with a lot of teams and turn W's to L's. But it's starting to stack up, and all of a sudden, if you're not willing to just give the Dallas Mike McCarthy stamp of approval like you proved in the regular season.
The coach is a lame duck. He is historically with this team really good in the regular season typically, and I think I don't think the NFC East is a strong division, which is one of the reasons that I'm not panicking. But what I will say is this: the best teams in the league. I'll use my Chiefs as an example.
Oh,
sorry.
Thanks.
The Chiefs can have their best players play poorly and still win sometimes. You know what I mean? I would argue that's what happened. It's happened the last 2 weeks, and we'll talk more about the Chiefs later, but where it's like, our best guys didn't show up, we still won.
That's right.
The worst teams in the league don't have best players. They're just like, their best players are just guys. Everybody else lives or dies based on how their highest paid best guys do. And oddly, up to this point in the year, I feel like Dak's the only one who's kind of played to his regular standard. Dak's been, maybe just slightly below.
He's been that great.
CD has had some splash plays.
He was terrible yesterday.
But CD Lamb has 13 catches this year.
He has dropped 2 passes
and now he has these
body
long,
language was
big
bad.
catches, big plays. But they were talking before the year about targeting him 12 to 15 times, 15 touches a game. So CD has 13 catches on 24 targets for the season. Micah has 1 sack and 1 TFL. DeMarcus Lawrence has not done much as of yet. Trayvon Diggs has not done, so when you look at salary cap and stuff, the Cowboys need their stars to play like stars.
To your point, though, Nick, Dak, as good as he is, cannot carry a team on his back.
Agreed.
Without a run game. And they got one of the worst run games in the league right now. So with CD, they know they're throwing. And teams are able to, go after him because they know the run. They have no fear of the run game.
CD's the only person on the Cowboys with a run longer than 10 yards. Not a
They don't have a running back averaging 4 yards a carry.
I'll tell you what, this A block so far.
Boy, they could use Tony Pollard.
Yeah, see, here we go.
He had 14 yards yesterday, Brew.
See.
Brew, he had 14.
Oh,
Today's not the day to say Tony
Give him
Pollard.
a quarterback and some receivers, and he'd be doing
I
some
thought it
damage.
was going nicely. Reigning MVP now 21-1 against the NFC. That's pretty good. 12 for 15 through the air while running for 87, including a keeper to seal the game. Here's Lamar on Marlon Humphrey's Instagram Live. Here's the problem with the Ravens. There's plenty of positives, but here's the one issue. They're pretty bad in the fourth quarter. So more or less confident in Baltimore after they almost lost this game, Brew. Can I say something? A little peek behind the curtain, if you will?
Go ahead.
I don't want to spoil it for you if you're tuning in. Maybe you'll make yourself a sandwich. There's no sandwich coming. There's no purple Jordans. He was wearing his regular hard-soled shoes here because you start not to believe in the Ravens.
No, it wasn't about the belief.
Well, if you're not bringing a sandwich here.
No, he was disappointed in him.
where's
Go,
the
let him go.
Since you want to take people behind the curtain, let me really take them behind. Because you know a little bit here and a little bit there, and then you don't know this, you don't know that. Yeah, the Jordans were coming. The robe, the sunglasses, the sandwich, and of course, the soda pop.
Yeah.
All right. Up through early in the fourth quarter, Hubs and I are texting, yeah, we going to do this, but he's got some new Jordans for me I haven't even seen, all right? Yeah. And as this game got closer and closer, I said, you know what? I can't celebrate this mess. Wow. I will not go out there. I look idiotic throwing my feet up on the desk after that fourth quarter.
People are making a sandwich like, hello?
Yeah, I can't do it. So, look, I'm obviously sticking with my pick of them winning the Super Bowl and all that. But I'm going to be – and the win was good. But I'm a little less confident than I was going into the game. And I said if they went to 0-3, I would still be with them. And I meant that. If they had lost like a close game, right, and played the whole game was close, I might have felt better. 0-3 would have been tough. I can't say I feel better because that's so hard to overcome.
This was almost a full-blown collapse.
Yes, and the thing is, this is what they do.
Yeah.
Harbaugh has more double-digit leads blown in the fourth quarter than any coach since at least 1991.
Can I say something about that?
That's 9.
You
don't think that's anything?
No, I think it is something on both sides. It's a terrible
It means
stat.
they have a lot of big leads. That is true, but also some guys
it's like I've lost most handsome man, people's second place in handsome man award.
But Wilds, there are two teams in the league. I'll say there's one team in the AFC that it feels to me that's supposed to be a really good team. That being up 10, it doesn't feel like game over, and it's Baltimore.
That's the thing. Like, if that game yesterday wasn't over, when's it ever going to be over? You're 28-6 going into the fourth quarter. Yeah. And this is a week after you just blew a lead.
That's right.
You are absolutely desperate for a win, and you still did it.
Yeah,
So they got, look, and Nick, I've got some highlight. Obviously, Justin Tucker's a problem now.
Yeah.
All right, he missed a 46-yard field goal. You blow the onside kick.
But that's a fluky thing. I mean,
with them, though, they seem to, and again, this is my team, but they seem to find ways to lose. Look, I mean, how do you blow that? That just goes through your ex. Then you see the first touchdown, or in the fourth quarter for Dallas to Tolbert right here, just wide open. I jumped on Nick because they blew the coverage against the Chiefs.
They might be blowing coverages.
Right. Like, maybe that's who they – like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. And then the last touchdown, Kevontae Turpin, we're about to see it here. The defender just falls. Yeah. Look, just I don't know how close you can get on that.
Probably
but he just falls.
Yeah. And so
Not a great move. It's like they were finding ways to make this thing close. And so that concerns me a little bit.
Okay. All right. So I agree with almost all of that, but with that said, and Isaiah Likely, ever since he did all that chirping, 3 catches for 30 yards. Mark Andrews, did he play yesterday? He did, but not really.
He's like Travis Kelce.
Right, and so minus all the accolades, Super Bowls, and Hall of Fame. I totally agree.
This year.
And the wins this year, I guess. But that's neither here nor there. Please, if I may, finish the Baltimore Ravens point. We're going to do the Chiefs, I think, in about 5 minutes. I would like to give credit quickly to Lamar because not only was he, I thought, very good throughout, it was a really weird spot for him because they're kicking a field goal to go up 31-6. But Justin Tucker, who can't kick long field goals since.
He might have.
Well, listen, Kelsey tossed his helmet and broke him. We all know it.
That's
other
possible.
people might have. Yeah,
We've seen
it's
it
not
with
possible.
guys.
It's probable. It happened. So, after that, Lamar, the Ravens had the ball for 3 plays before it was 28-25 because Dallas went touchdown, onside kick, touchdown. Ravens went 3-and-out touchdown. And then Lamar, the 3rd and 6 pass, saved the game. They were going to lose that game. He gets that, and then he gets the first down where he tricks everyone, including the broadcast, which tricked me too, and goes and gets the first down.
That was
so
incredible.
Lamar has 2 back-to-back plays to ice the game. So he deserves credit because had they lost in that fashion, Wilds, they were done.
Yeah.
If
He
they
also
lose in
was
that
right
fashion, they're done.
To call out Marvin
Yes.
Humphrey in a nice way, like, dude,
Dude, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I agree with that 100%.
Humphrey sound like a 13-year-old in that video.
Lamar has 956 total yards, number 1 in the NFL.